So I'm Steve Gleason. I'm the airport manager. I've been the airport manager for 21 years now. Before that, I worked in the Office of Economic Development in Provo for 5 years. I'm seventh generation of my family, born and raised in Provo. So no one's more Provo than me. So I'm happy to be here. It's been fun for me to work on the airport. So I think what we'll do is we're going to divide the airport portion into two different segments. First thing we'll talk about is the master plan, because I know some of you might have some questions about land use and how the master plan has progressed. The master plan is now complete. This is the second master plan we've done since I became airport manager. So we'll just go through to the next slide, please. Okay, so this is our ALP, or Area Layout Plan for the airport. You'll notice that one of our runways is illustrated in pink there. That is runway 1836. If you ever get aircraft that are flying over your house down on the west side at a low altitude, it's almost always because the wind is favoring runway 1836, or we're using 1836 for some reason. Our current master plan shows runway 1836 going away completely. So we would eliminate that runway, which should cut down on any noise issues around the west side. And again, we have a right and left-hand pattern at Provo Airport, meaning we try and keep all the traffic out over the lake. That came about as a result of public input during our last master planning process. So at this point, we're ready to get rid of our crosswind runway and go completely onto two parallel runways and keep traffic off or away from populated areas. Next slide, please. Okay, the other thing is still what we have in place is an airport protection zone, and a lot of people are confused about what that means. When we say an airport protection or airport compatibility zone, we mean the area immediately around the airport, encompassing from Center Street and then about to the line where the Hinckley property is around the airport. What we're suggesting, and have always been suggesting, is that we don't allow high-density housing to go in there, because high-density housing and airports tend to be incompatible for a lot of different reasons. But that's the only restriction of an airport compatibility zone. The only thing that is truly incompatible with an airport is high-density housing. So now let's switch to the PDFs. So that's part one, that's our master plan. Part two is to talk about our terminal building, which we have underway right now. When I started at the airport, we did not have commercial service. It's been a long build to get to the point where we were ready for that. And we do have a market that sustains that. The market has progressed so well, in fact, that our current terminal building is no longer big enough. So this is the terminal building that we are proposing. It's on land at the south end of the airfield that we've been reserving specifically for this for many years, and it would be right near the bend in Lakeview Parkway. Next one. So we're proposing that at first it would hold 4 gates. That should give us the ability to get to 400,000 passengers per year. Right now we're at about 100,000 passengers per year, but we just have the 1 gate. Airlines would like to add additional service, but we can't. We're just not big enough for them right now. Even Allegiant, who is currently serving the airport, would like to expand, but with 1 gate, they can't overlap any of their aircraft. We can only have 1 in, 1 out. So we need to expand to additional gates. So this would get us to 4 gates initially. Next. And this is what we're proposing that it would look like. So we're just finishing up now a 60% design on the terminal building. There's a lot of things I love about the way that this looks. First of all, we really tried hard to take public input on what it should look like and to look at the past of Provo as well as the future of Provo. This is very much designed to look like downtown Provo in the brick areas, and then look more modern, like the modern portions of downtown Provo in the non-brick areas. So we're looking for brick that will sort of match that feel and that vibe. Thanks. Okay, just a straight-on look at it. It'll have a much bigger parking lot than we have now. We're also completely out of parking in our current facility. This is looking from the west. This is how aircraft will approach. You'll notice that we do have 1 jetway shown here. At first, we're proposing that we would probably only have one jetway and the other 3 gates would board from the ground. But we need at least one jetway because this time of year when we're standing out there at every flight, it gets pretty cold when people have to transition outside. A couple of things that we also tried to do with the interior design is, number one, not have TSA be the principal experience of the airport. So when you walk in the airport, you won't see TSA. It's behind walls. You will have to go through to get to TSA. It's not going to be the first thing you see when you walk in. The other thing we tried to do is be very family friendly. So there are areas in here where families can wait to greet returning travelers, where they won't be in the way of other people, and they will still have good visibility of those people getting off the aircraft. There are also family areas on the sterile side of the, okay, that's after you've gone through TSA. That's the sterile side. There are also family areas on the sterile side where you can bring the kids and there will be cartoons and toys and games to play, and also a mother's lounge area where mothers with infants can care for those infants. So we've tried to really make this as Provo as we possibly can. So this is a good view of what we're calling our welcome home court. This would just be a big area that is fully glass so that you can see people getting right off of the airplane. You don't have to walk out and get in the way of moving traffic. Next. This is on the sterile side. This would be a dining area where we're hoping to get at least one vendor, and we're hoping that that vendor will be somebody who is local, a local Provo type company that could provide that food. So I'm open to any suggestions. Another shot of that area. And then that's it. That's what we're looking at for the terminal and the master plan, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there a future for multiple restaurants?
We have the terminal. A big part of what we're trying to design is to design it to go from 4 gates to 10 gates. So it is designed to expand. So there would be room for additional vendors and additional kiosk areas as we expand. But initially with the 4 gates, there will just be the room for 1. But we are making it so that that 1 can serve both the non-sterile pre-TSA side and the sterile post-TSA side. Yeah?
With the runway removal, what's your time frame on that? And will you be replacing it with another runway, or?
Yeah, the way that the master plan shows is that we'll have a parallel runway that will go to the west of the current runway. In between the control tower and runway 1331, we would have a smaller runway, mostly for training traffic. It's going to be 10 years before we do that. It's not something that's going to happen immediately. It takes a lot of money and a lot of time to get that done. So, but it will do a couple of things for us. It will, first of all, it will expand our capacity to handle operations, which we're fine capacity-wise right now, but it would expand the capacity, whereas 2 intersecting runways do not expand capacity because you can only use 1 at a time. These 2, we could use 2 at a time. Okay. That was easy. All right, thanks.